Says he's staying put in front of City Hall as he stages a hunger strike to protest, as he describes.
Roger Huang says that he is calling on the city to make sweeping changes.
2004年，一位台湾人在美国旧金山市府广场前禁食祷告33天。他是 Pastor Roger 黄乃新牧师。此举撼动市府媒体，官员还因而立法帮助了田德隆地区的需要。田德隆是旧金山治安最混乱的地区，黄乃新牧师在这里服侍已40年，没有任何财团支持，为成千上万的人提供食物、教育和工作培训。从小在破碎家庭长大的他，当初愿意在这里奉献一生，起心动念是为了帮助一个无助的小男孩。
朋友们你好，欢迎来到今天的真情部落格。我们今天的来宾小的时候呢是在一个家暴家庭长大，不过现在呢他在美国旧金山一个治安特别不好的地区，专门去帮助服侍高风险的家庭、高风险的孩子。今天来到我们节目现场，跟我们分享一下他的生命故事。欢迎黄乃新牧师 Pastor Roger. Welcome to be our guest.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Yeah. So this is your second time come back to Taiwan, right?
Second time in less than 3 weeks.
Okay.
But the first time, which is about 3 weeks ago, that was after 52 years.
52 years?
52 years.
Since you moved to the U.S.?
Yeah.
Wow, such a long time.
It's been a long time.
So how did you feel about Taiwan for the first time you come back?
I'm impressed. Very modern, very friendly, very clean. And so many restaurants.
Actually, you were born in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, I think it was the first airport. The airport that you have in Taipei was maybe the first one.
Yes.
Because my father was working for China Airlines.
Oh.
So when they transferred him from Taipei to San Francisco, the whole family went. And then I left Taipei at age 15.
How was your childhood from 0 to 15, your life in Taiwan?
I think it was difficult. It was difficult because, today is a little bit different. In the old days, there's been a lot of, verbal abuse and the physical abuse at home.
In your family?
In my family. My dad was the one who was... I would say he was violent, but it wasn't just us. He was also very violent towards my mom. When the screaming and the beating was finished, and later on we see my mom, she got black and blue, all over. So we didn't know what to do because we experienced the same thing.
How many kids in your family?
Altogether 6 of us.
So you are the...
I'm number 3. So the first 3, Stanley, Alan, Roger, we took most of the physical and the verbal abuse. The other 3 came later, and so they didn't take it as much.
How bad was the situation?
I would say you didn't know what you did. I didn't know what was happening. I don't know why he would be so angry. And
so without reason, he just came in?
There's no reason. And usually it's about midnight.
Oh.
Yeah, during the midnight, we'll be sleeping. And then the light would turn on, and he woke us up and then bring us to the living room. And just, first is the verbal abuse. Talk about how we will never be anything. We can never be anything, just kind of one-on-one. And then back and forth, for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
45 minutes.
And then after that, he started beating us.
So your mom, she's not the one who can protect you or help you?
No, she never did. That's something it's hard for me to comprehend because I never saw her.
You never saw her?
No, she was either in the room or hiding somewhere and left us alone with our father.
So as a kid, you're kind of hopeless and helpless.
Yeah, it was hopeless, helpless, and it was mostly sad because we didn't have anybody, I didn't have anybody, they didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't know when this was going to end, you know, this whole thing. And so that was kind of how we were brought up.
Yes.
But I didn't know this until later on when I was about 40, in my 40s, and that he was an alcoholic, he was a gambler, he was a womanizer, and so those things made him a very violent person. We never had a conversation. We have never had a conversation, and the funny part, it was funny that I never had a conversation with my mom either. I was really emotionally and mentally disconnected. You know, even in the room, sleeping with my brothers in the house, there's just nothing to say. You know, there's nothing to say, nothing to talk about. Very much.
And how do you feel about your mom?
I didn't know how to get close to her because she was very much into herself. Like, you know, am I pretty? Do I look young? And then the conversation I heard as a kid growing up, it was a lot of gossip and slandering, gossip, all that stuff. And I don't know why. As a kid growing up, I never liked that kind of stuff. So I always walk away. But we never had any kind of relationship.
Oh,
You know?
so
And
sad.
I remember one time when she was in the backyard doing the laundry. You know how you hang the clothes on the line?
Yes,
But the laundry was in the bucket.
yes,
So I said, oh, I want to help her out.
yes,
So I picked up the bucket.
yes.
And it was heavy. And I brought it to her and put it next to her. And she said, why don't you just leave me alone? So that was the breaking point. I never got close to her from that moment on.
So hurt.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just life, you know.
And how was your life in school when you were in Taiwan? Is there any teacher know the situation in your family?
That was the second scariest place for me in life.
Oh, so sad.
You know why? Because I don't know about now, okay, but during the time that I was here, it was very violent.
In school too?
In the school, the teachers, not the students. You know, if I didn't do well, I'll be called out to the front. You know how, I don't know, they do this now. And they put the chopsticks and then they squeeze it.
In your fingers?
Yeah. And then they squeeze and make you cry. Or they make you stand in front of the class and then, you know, bend and stay the whole class time. So things like that. And sometimes I hear the screaming from the next classroom.
Yes.
And the kids will come out, one or two or three will have black eye. And so, you know, the home was not a place to be. The school was not a place to be. My only time that I felt was peaceful was the journey from the school to my home, from home to my school.
How did you feel about yourself or your life at that time?
I think I was numb. I didn't have any feelings. But I had a lot of fears. And I became a loner, which was really a good thing. Because in those days, you had to belong to a group, right? And I didn't want to belong to anybody. So that saved me a lot of dangers. It was always fighting, but I was never part of it because I was either in the corner or somewhere by myself. So I think that saved me.
You just mentioned that you left Taiwan at the age of 15
Yes.
with all your family. So when you moved to the U.S., is the thing getting better?
When I got to San Francisco, that's how I began my new journey, but in a different country.
Yes.
But nothing changed. You know, I was still a loner. The abuse still, you know, went on.
Yes, in your
home.
family.
Yeah. At age 17, there's one particular day when we were out there in this beautiful home. And it was a home right across from Golden Gate Park. It's a beautiful home. And I don't know what happened, but my father got into an argument with my mom, and he started walking towards her. And he was going to beat her up. And by then I was 17. So I put my arm out and stopped him for the first time. And he didn't cross the line. But after that, the fear came up because I stopped the most violent person in my life, and I said, I had so much fear. I look around, I said, you know what? I'm not going to be here anymore. I went to my room, I got some clothes, put in the bag, got in the car, and I left. And that was it.
Where did you go?
Nowhere.
Nowhere?
I had no place to go. I was homeless. But I knew places where I can sleep. The corner in front of some homes. And I was working in a restaurant. Restaurants, hotels, they have a locker room. I slept there. And of course, they provide, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's kind of how I made my life.
Did you still go to school at the age of 17? Were you run away from home?
I was going to City College. So I was still going to City College, but after 2 years, I dropped out. I said, it's very hard to navigate, to balance this life. I said, I'm just going to work. So I have always had 2 jobs.
What kind of jobs?
I was working in the beginning in a restaurant as a busboy, and then cleaning tables and waiter, and became assistant manager. And then at about age 24, 25, I became an auditor. Auditor for the 5-star hotel. But I was auditor for 2 5-star hotels.
2?
So I would work from 9 to 5, go home for a few hours, and go to another one from 11 to 7.
So how many hours you have to work?
I was working about probably 17, 18 hours.
Wow.
But I was very driven. I was not into drugs. I was not into alcohol.
Why? Why can you?
Yeah, I just despise everything my father did. I said to myself, if I stop and don't do anything that he did, I think I'll be happy. I just ignored, shut down. That's the best way. Because I didn't have any answer.
Yes.
And I didn't want to stir up the emotion.
Yeah.
And so I just became almost like go to work, sleep, that's it.
Would you feel sometimes like I'm not like other people? When you compare to other people, you feel frustrated inside sometimes.
Yeah, I compare to the rich, right? I compare to the happy people.
Yes.
I compare to people who go to the restaurant. I'm always comparing, how can I be happy? How can I have money? How can I have a good family? And it is until I came to know God at age 27. TV was on, the preacher, the pastor was talking about how God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. Jesus to die on the cross because he loves you. And I heard that, I was like, I really wanted that. That touched me, and I wanted that, and that was my turning point.
成长过程饱受暴力威胁非常辛苦的 Pastor Roger 呢，其实心里头一直都很孤单，直到他遇到了他的太太 Maite, right?
Yes.
So your wife Maite, she's a very important person to you. How did you meet each other?
Well, I was 17, and I was going to the store to get a Coke. And when I got out of the car, I was about to walk in, and another car pulled up behind me. And when I turned around, she was sitting on the passenger side, with her arm on the window and the feet on the dashboard. She was very, happy. And she was smiling. And I thought she was smiling at me. So instead, I walked over. I got her phone number. And so that was our first time going out, in the car. I didn't have anything. Just kind of drive around. But once she got in the car, I didn't know what to do. I never talked to anybody, right? But good thing that she's a talker. So she was the one talking. And I was just like, yeah, right, like that.
So how did you feel about her for the first impression?
She said later on, she had met me, she saw me in the same neighborhood. But she was with somebody else.
Oh.
And she said in her mind that one day she would like to get to know this person. So I was like, I didn't know. I was just somewhere in the neighborhood. But we ended up being together. Now we're married for 44 years.
Beginning of your marriage, how do you try to express your feeling, your love? Because you're kind of never been loved by your own family, right?
I give credit to Maite because I brought that into the marriage. So I would say the first 15 years, it took a long time.
Yes.
Because whenever we have some kind of maybe anything, it could be anything, and I shut down. I shut down and I won't talk for 2 to 3 days. I didn't want to be honest with what is really going on. So I just bury it. I frustrated her very much.
Yes.
She would cry. Sometimes she would leave the house for a few hours and then come back and talk. So that went on for 15 years. It gets a little bit less and less. But still, whenever you get into that situation, it can get very intense.
And everything changed after you know God, right?
We both came to know God through a TV evangelist. It's only, for me, it was about 10, 15 minutes. She was saved a year before. And I came later because the TV was on, the preacher, the pastor was talking about how God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. Jesus to die on the cross because he loves you. I was drunk that day, that night. And I heard that, I was like, I really wanted that. And then I just felt this overwhelming love, right? I never felt anything like that.
Why in a sudden that you feel that you really want it?
Because I never had that. I never had anybody that said, I love you. But when the preacher said that, I was like, who would love me to send his son to die on the cross? That touched me, and I wanted that, and that was my turning point. I started chasing after God.
Yeah, how did you feel about your relationship with your wife changed?
She would cry for me, pray for me, and ask God to change me. And also, another thing that changed my thinking process was that she was also changed. She was very strong. French, right? French woman. And very determined. She's got her own personality.
Yes.
But then she realized when we're Christians, that the man will be the spiritual leader. Even though I was nowhere to be spiritual. But she was like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to go? Which restaurant you want to go to?
She asked you.
So she started asking me, and I was in shock. I was like, whoa. And her love towards me was tender. But did she really wanted to do that? No.
Yeah.
But she was being obedient to God.
Yes, yes.
So for me, it was like, wow, you would do that for God, even though you don't really want to do it?
Yes.
So that made me want to get to know God more.
Yes.
Then I said, I want to do something about this. That's when I started praying and fasting very frequently. And then I got to know God more and more and more intimately. And also she was helping me. So that's how we changed everything.
So you just mentioned about that you are serving in Tenderloin now. How did that start it?
I wanted to do something for God because I was so excited about my life, so excited about my experience.
How old were you then?
I was 27, 28. And I started fasting, praying, reading the Bible. And then I began to pray. I said, God, if you have something for me, I want to work for you. And one day in downtown San Francisco, I parked my car in the Tenderloin. And I was working for a 5-star hotel, Park 55. And when I got off work, I walked towards my car and then I noticed I had a flat tire. I make a call, they came out to, change the tire.
Yes.
But it was at that time I saw the kid standing in front of the building. He was getting beat up by some older kids. And, for me, I just froze because that's the environment that came out.
Yes.
I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know what to do. But anyway, after that, I drove from that spot to my house. It was about 15 minutes. And I felt God was saying something to me. Now remember, I was not a mature Christian. I felt He said, what if that was your son? What would you do? I said, well, if that was my son, I would have jumped out of my car to rescue him. And He said, for me, they're all the same. They're all the same. And that's it. And when I got home, I felt troubled. And my wife could tell. She looked at me, she said, what happened? I just started crying. And I told her what happened. I told her about the kid. I told her about how he got beat up. I didn't rescue him. I didn't help him. And she cried, I cried. So, and we cried for a while. But, my wife, she's very special to me because she was, she's a very godly person. And she prayed with me. By then we were on the floor. And she said, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? I said, I don't know, but I think I need to go back. That's all I said. She said, you go back, I'm with you. And so next day, we made 50 sandwiches, took them to the Tenderloin. We just kept on going back. So now, 39 years later, we quit all of our jobs and we gave everything to the Tenderloin. But I didn't have any help. No pastors, no church, no friends, no rich relatives, nowhere. But God provided all 39 years. Today, the City Impact in the city of San Francisco was amazing work. I do not take any credit because it's all God. And He has brought me thousands of people. I have so many different ways. We opened up the elementary school, opened up the restaurant. We have volunteer center, about 8,000 volunteers that come every year. We started a food bank. We're going to the buildings. We bring food to the isolated people that don't want to come out. Most of them just scared to come out. So we'll bring food to them, we'll talk to them, and we'll pray with them.
What's the situation in that district?
Tenderloin is the inner city, and we average 8,000 or more homeless population.
Wow.
So many, I think it's about 18, 19, 20 different nationalities.
Wow.
Indian, Southeast Asian, Chinese from Hong Kong, you have Hispanic, African American, and many others,
So many different cultures and countries.
So many different cultures. And But even though I was ministering, but my heart was, it wasn't open, It's like, I'm going to tell you what I want to tell you. When I finish, I'm going to go home, right? You don't do that. So after 2-3 years, I was in one of our buildings. I was sitting there and I became very, very depressed. I said, why am I not happy? The people everywhere. I do so much, my wife does so much, but I'm not happy. And God said, He showed me. He didn't say anything, He just showed me. He showed me a quick video. He said, when they ask you to go in for lunch, in the apartment for lunch, you say no, because you didn't like their food.
Oh.
You didn't like their living room. You discriminate. You never hug anybody when they want to shake your hand, and then you couldn't wait to wash your hands. And your heart is callous. It's hard. You don't really care about them. And that's when I go, oh my gosh. And so I came before God. I said, help me. But once He opened my heart, then the work started growing. That's when we have a school. We have a restaurant for the homeless.
You feel the difference.
Yeah. Everything started growing because now I don't care. Nobody bothers me.
Did you still shut down often after you become a Christian?
Yes. And then by this time, I was leading a ministry. People would come to see me. Sometimes in the middle of the week, I was shut down. One time I remember a pastor from a big church came to visit me. But I was in the office. I turned the lights off, locked the door, and my wife was knocking on the door. She said, there's a pastor here to see you. And she said, open the door, and I didn't open the door. So you know what she did? She went outside, climbed out the window, walked on the rooftop, opened the window in my office and jumped in. She was on the floor begging me.
Oh.
She said, whatever you're going through right now, you gotta let it out, because there's somebody who's very important and he's down the hall. He wants to see you. I tried. I was like, I hope I can get out. I said, I just don't know how. She said, well, she helped me out, 10, 15 minutes. I said, okay. So wipe my tears. She wiped her tears, opened the door. The pastor was standing there, and I go, hey, pastor, how you doing?
Wow.
Right? So, but you go through that. It was very difficult, and I couldn't take it anymore. A lot of pressure. You feel like a hypocrite, right? And a lot of people were looking to me. I lead the prayer, I do this, I do that, but inside, there's a lot of times we will argue before I do anything. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I began to pray and ask God to take this away. Because you know what? It's a bondage. You know how people get addicted to drugs, to gambling? That was a bondage in my life. That started as I was growing up in the family, because I felt abandoned by my parents. So I carried that with me. So if my wife doesn't talk to me for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, it can be anything, I shut down. But I was determined. I said, I cannot live like this. And one day, I don't know how, but one day, God just took that away. That was it. People shooting up, drugs everywhere on the sidewalk, danger. The park, you can go into the park, people doing drugs, they do drugs inside. So many things that was wrong. So I said, I want to do something about that. And the only way is through hunger strike.
Roger 牧师有他自己呢，在 Tenderloin 这个地区做了很多服事，做了很多的福音工作之外，他甚至呢还用33天的绝食抗议，促使旧金山市府推出一些对这个城市比较好的一些政策。So let's talk about the 33 days hunger strike.
Yes.
What happened that made you want to do so?
San Francisco is a rich, rich city. Yes. And here we are. We have a neighborhood that is being neglected, discarded, and yet millions and millions of money spent in the Tenderloin, but they didn't do anything. And so I didn't think that was fair for these kids. Walk over the garbage, people shooting up, drugs everywhere on the sidewalk, danger. The park, you can go into the park, people doing drugs, they do drugs inside. Encampment, they sleep outside, inside. And there's just so many things that was wrong. So I said, I want to do something about that. Mm-hmm. And the only way is through hunger strike.
Why? Why that is the only way?
Because in the history, remember Cesar Chavez and Gandhi, when they do hunger strike, they bring attention
media
to the matter.
Yes.
Well, so that was my wife's idea. We're going to pray and fast to God, us Christians. God, do something. But when we go out, sit in front of the city hall, we're not going to say fasting, because people don't care. So that's why we say hunger strike. And all of a sudden people care. Then I had my requirement to bring it to the city hall's mayor's office. I had somebody deliver to him and said, he's going to be out there doing the hunger strike. He wants you to do these things.
So what is all this request? Like what?
The request is clean up the park. Build a security gate. Only the kids and the families can go in.
Go in the park.
Yes, not the drug addict.
Okay.
Not those that shoot up. And secured everything. Because the kids go in there, you got needles on the grass. And the barricade along the ledge of the park so they can sit. Also, the liquor license. You can open the liquor license. Well, Tenderloin, they have permission to have 25 liquor license. That means you can have 25 or 24 liquor stores. But at that time, it was already 47, right? The law says 25, but now they have 47. I said, I went to the department. I said, how could you guys do this? They said, oh, no, we don't have any control. So also, the strip club, there was a strip club right next to our school. Yeah, and then the bouncers, the people at the door, they tell my high school girls, middle school girls, about 14, 15, because when the schoolgirls coming from the park, going inside the building, the strip club is right here.
Yes.
So they told the girls, like, hey, you look beautiful. When you are 18, come be a stripper. Right? So a couple girls went inside, they told my staff. My staff came out and they want to fight. Right? And I said, no, don't fight. Let me think about this. And that's when I put that on the request. I asked the mayor to close that strip club. So he got the letter. I got my chair, sat there for 33 days and 32 nights. My wife was doing the hunger strike, but she was only there from 9 until 5 because she had to, go home and be with the kids. But because I was out there the whole time, people thought it was just me, but it was her too.
You didn't eat anything at all?
No, nothing. It was not the hunger. It was the coldness. San Francisco is cold. If you stay outdoor, the coldness will get to you.
Yeah.
After 5 o'clock, the sun goes down. That's what I hate the most. The sun goes down. I was like, oh, gee, here we go. It's cold. But that's kind of how it happened. But I think 2 weeks later,
yes,
13 days, 14 days, and I look at the city hall, I look at all the rich, affluent, wealthy people going to the city hall to make deals with the mayor. And I started thinking, I don't think anything's going to happen, And my wife was next to me. I put my head down and I said to her, I said, I think I'm going to walk out of here. I'm going to do this. She said, you promised God you staying here. She is very determined. She said, you told everybody, you told the mayor, you told the city, and you're here for the tenderloin, you're going to walk out after 13 days, 14 days? You said, you staying.
Wow.
So I stay. And she stayed with me for 33 days. And then at the end, well, we were going to continue.
Yes.
But on the 33rd day, the mayor came out. He stood right here. He didn't even talk to me. With the newscaster and the camera, he said, all the requests that he asked for, we're going to fulfill that.
Oh, wow.
Then he just walked right in, didn't talk to me. My wife said, I think the job is done. We can go. I picked up my chair and I left.
So what did the official do?
They started cleaning the streets with the water truck. They put the barricade alongside the ledge so people can sit. They put up the gate and the fence so drug people cannot go in. They make that only for the families and the kids. They install these French toilet. You know how you go in, the door closed? When you're done, they just wash everything. They installed a lot of them. And then they didn't have to do anything with the strip club. You know why? Owner of the strip club, he died.
Oh.
So the whole thing shut down. And the liquor's license, they stopped.
Okay, wow.
So everything was done.
Yes, yes.
For me, we believe that God can do the impossible. So we step out. He did it, and we just walk away. It's finished. I don't want to keep on talking about like, oh, we did this and God did that. I just move on and do something else.
Yeah.
But He has been providing, doing miracles. I mean, unbelievable. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
What did the local media report or cover this story?
It was evening news. They showed on TV that the mayor said he's going to do everything that I asked for and to clean up the tenderloin. And they started a district benefit. It's a special program from the city that it becomes a division, and it's there permanently. They have a budget of $1 to $2 million just to clean up the tenderloin every day. No, not just every day, but morning to night, nonstop cleaning. So everything is for the tenderloin and for the kids and for the homeless.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any place they don't have a bathroom to go to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So of course, where do they go? On the streets. So we get mad at them, but where do they go?
Yeah.
But now we have those bathrooms, provided for them.
When did you take the hunger strike? How many years ago?
Maybe 2014.
And the project still go on?
Yeah, the project still go on. Well, the bathrooms are still there and better. The park is beautiful.
Great.
Because after they put the barricade, the gate and everything, few years later,
Yes.
they made that park like one of the best in the neighborhood.
At the final part of this interview, I still want to ask that, did you ever try to find your parents and your siblings after you grow up, after you become a Christian?
Yes, we met up with them. My wife and I, we pray with them. We pray with them a lot of times, and they accepted God into their lives. Now, Did they go to church? No. Did they practice Christian faith? No. We did our part. But I did pray for my father when I found him in the little apartment. By then, he was poor. He didn't have anything. When I walked in, it was just a mattress on the floor. And he was very sick. And he had medicine on the cabinet. But he told me, he said, I'm not taking anything because I want to die. I said, I'm not here today to pray for healing. I'm praying that you will know Jesus. So I prayed with him, and he cried, I cried. He accepted Jesus. Then later on he passed. And we led my mom to the Lord. Pray with my older brother before he died, led him to the Lord. Charco, the number 4, he was deported from the United States. He could never come back. So he called me from the airport. And I said, Charco, I will never see you again. I was crying. I said, I will never see you again. I want you to know that Jesus loves you. He goes, yes, okay. I just kept on talking to him. And told him about God, told him about Jesus, pray with him. I said, I don't think I will ever see you again. I said, take care of yourself. So he left and got deported, came to Taipei. And this is what I heard, because I was in my mom's house, because my mom remarried. And ended up in Richmond City. So San Francisco, Bay Bridge, Richmond City.
Yes.
And the stepfather, he said, bring all your kids to me. Let me help them.
Yes.
To be better, because he found out about how much we were being abused. So we went there and we were just having lunch, and then I said, oh, how's Charco? How's Charco? Nobody said anything. Later on, I found out he died. When he came to Taipei, he got drunk, crossed the road, hit by a taxi, and died. Everybody knew. Nobody told me.
What?
Nobody told me. I don't even know why she was doing that. But anyway, I'm just saying, but I was very upset. I was very upset. And then my sister came to me, and she didn't like me because I was very distant. I was distant from everybody.
Yes.
She came to me one night. She said, can I talk to you on my day? I said, yeah. She came, she was crying. She said, this is what happened. Because when I left home, about a year later, my mother left the whole family and came back to Taipei.
She ran away too.
She ran away. And the 3 kids, well, it's Marianne, Rocky, and Charco, the 3. They left, but they were little, like 7, 8, and he was like 15, 16. So Charco was the one taking care of the 2.
Yes.
But Charco was very good at lying. He'd go to the restaurant, they would eat, and he would not pay. Well, he didn't have a choice.
Yes.
But anyway, something happened. So my sister came to me and said, this is what happened in the family.
After you left.
Something happened to her in the family. Through one of the brothers. And I was like, oh man, that's, I don't know what to say, And she said, my sister said, I just want my mom to hear that because she abandoned us.
Yes.
I said, well, let's go.
Yes.
Right? So we drove to her new home.
Yes.
She would not come out. Instead, she called the police.
Wow.
And got us out of the house.
Wow.
So she never had a chance to tell her what happened to her. But you know how the family just kind of became like that.
Yes.
But my wife and I, we try to witness to them, talk to them, pray with them, But when you're broken, when everybody's broken, it's very difficult to bring everybody together.
Yes, yes.
Very hard.
It's very pain inside.
Yeah.
Did God heal you about that part?
Oh yeah, very much so, very much so. You know.
So how do you feel about your mother, your father now? Do you have any emotion inside still?
I don't have any emotions. I just know now, even though they were not perfect, I don't think anybody taught them anything, how to be a better parent. I just learned to forgive and move on. And plus, you know what? They passed. I can continue to hold on.
Yes.
You know?
You can only pray.
Yeah, if I don't move on, I will have a miserable life.
Yes, that's true. And at the end, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience to encourage them?
Yeah, that if you're watching this show, you know that there is a living God who cares for you. And it may not seem like He cares, but He knows you. You do not know how to pray, you don't read the Bible, you don't even know how to communicate. But I believe that if you can just have a regular conversation with God, He will come to you. He will give you a journey. He will begin to move in your life. May not be right away, but you will see it. God is alive, and God will walk you through every step of the way. Don't give up. God bless you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for coming today.
Thank you.
我们真的就在 Pastor 身上看到一个这么破碎家庭出生的孩子，从小承受到这么大的压力，对他生命带来这么多的伤害，可是现在可以帮助到这么多人，甚至改变旧金山这个城市。今天在这节目当中呢，真得到很大的力量。Thank you.
You're welcome.
亲爱的朋友们，我相信当你听完了 Roger 牧师的分享，可能跟我有同样的感受，就是说他所经历的真的不是一般人所经历的痛苦而已，他的整个原生家庭的破碎，甚至他是被虐待长大的，可是他生命里面呢，居然有这么大的一个转折，而且有活出这样一个不同的生命，真的是非常令人难以想象。一般人总是会讲说，为什么我的父母亲不爱我？为什么我母亲不保护我？为什么这样的事情会临到我的身上？为什么不临到别人的身上，就是单单临到我们的身上？我们很多的人会为了曾经所发生的事情，或是正在发生的事情，完全困住了我们自己这个人。但是 Roger 牧师他生命有一个非常大的转捩点，是在于他认识了这个信仰之后，他不再被困住。为什么过往是如此？因为许多时候其实是没有答案的，但是他用他过往所经历的一切的痛苦，因着信仰的缘故，他成为别人有需要的人，生命极大的翻转以及帮助，这是一个非常不同的转变。亲爱的朋友们，许多的时候，你可能正在经历很多的痛苦，那你可以选择人生把自己关闭起来，你可以选择走一条路，就是充满了埋怨，充满了就是心里面就是对许多人的不谅解，或者是生命呢，可能可以成为别人的祝福。Roger 牧师，因为他所做的事情，他过往一切的痛苦，他反过来帮助了许多有需要的人，真正的改变了那个城市所需要的。而这一切的转捩点是这个信仰。朋友们，如果你愿意的话，好吧，我邀请你跟我一起来祷告。在这一切的不容易里面，让上帝来进入，让他成为你生命极大的翻转。我们一起来祷告。亲爱的天父，孩子为了你的儿子 Roger 所做的见证来向你献上感恩。许多的事情发生，真的不晓得为什么，包括现在很多的朋友正在看这样的一个见证，也正在经历许多的不容易，可能是过往的，有的是现在的。但是我们同样有一个渴望，就是透过信仰，透过我们跟着祷告来到你面前敞开心的时候，亲爱的天父，你让你的儿子耶稣基督进到我们每一个人的心里面、生命里， 你可以把那一切看似为咒诅的，转化成为祝福，不只祝福我们个人，也可以祝福我们周遭的人，让我们过一个完全不一样的人生，不是困住的人生，而且是充满了力量以及盼望的人生。愿上帝你的爱，这时候临到每一位向你敞开心的朋友们。谢谢主，垂听祷告，奉主耶稣的名。亲爱的朋友们，愿上帝大大的赐福于您。